terrible state of affairs in the United States. Gun legislation is back in the spotlight following the killing of 19 children and 2 adults by an 18-year-old Salvador Ramos. Now, the U.S. President, Joe Biden, has called on Americans to put pressure on members of Congress to pass the gun laws to prevent mass shootings. Joining me now for this conversation is Bradley Steyn, and he's a geopolitical security expert who's going to talk to us now about what exactly it is that is preventing this gun legislation in the U.S. from actually passing in Congress. Might that galvanize the lawmakers in that country? Bradley, good morning.
Good morning, Zanzi, and thanks for having me. You know, the biggest problem in the United States when it comes to reforming gun legislation is the fact that big lobby firms that represent manufacturers of firearms and AR-15s, fully assault capable firearms, you know, give money to these GOPs, which is the grand old party, the Republican Party. That they give them money, and you know, Rand Paul is you know, one of those biggest. He's guilty of that the most. You know, he has received hundreds and hundreds of thousands of US dollars. So, you know, this is a moral issue now. You know, this all this money that all these GOP Republican senators are getting is stifling the ability to be able to make legislative change so that they can deal with this terrible issue that, you know, this is the 214th mass shooting in the United States this year already. And look, we 5-6 months into this year, it's appalling.
Yeah, the gun lobby in the U.S., Bradley, as you've already mentioned, it's a powerful grouping, and I suppose, based on what you've also said, it gives us a sense of which party they are always, I suppose, funding the most or channeling their funds towards, and that is the Republican group. But the Republican Party, I should say. What, though, is the American society to do when it comes to elections? Because at the end of the day, it is the people of America who install the government there. Surely the Republican Party should be suffering at the polls if they were really that appalled by the mass shootings that continue almost on a monthly in America.
Well, you know, once again, things get politicized, and that's the unfortunate reality of the matter. You know, the National Rifle Association is a very powerful gun lobby group, and coincidentally, I think that they're having a massive conference in Texas now. Any day now. So, you know, it's just poor timing. But, you know, the biggest problem is political agendas and financial agendas. You know, we need to put our children's lives first. You know, I take this very personally. You know, my wife's a school teacher and an elementary school teacher. We have family down the road in Austin, in Texas, and you know, the fact that this is being politicized, and even at the press conference that the governor of Texas had yesterday, they were talking about this is a great place to come and hunt and bring my rifles. this it's just in really, really poor taste that, the American citizens' lives aren't being put ahead of these political agendas. And, the country is so incredibly divided, with their various agendas, and it's appalling. And these guys, and I'm an apolitical guy. I'm not a Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
But these GOP guys, will just keep talking and not do anything about it. So there needs to be actionable action here. Enough's enough already. This is so disturbing. All these young lives and these teachers. People are terrified to let their kids go to school in America now.
Yeah.
And it's a gun problem. It's not a mental health problem. It is to a certain extent. But the biggest problem is it's a gun and accessibility to firearms, full, high capacity, powerful firearms.
And I'm sorry to cut in there, but that's the point that I actually want to wrap this interview on, because as we started this conversation, it has primarily been about policy and, the high-level stuff that politicians need to pass through Congress. But when we strip all of that down, on the face of it, much of the talk is about the access or the absence of strict control policies that prevent those, if there was screening that was being done, or good enough screening, that you wouldn't sell to an 18-year-old high-caliber weapons without questioning, what do you need these guns for? That easy access to these guns. Surely the people who sell these guns, Bradley, to the general public, those people should also be held accountable. Are they?
Well, unfortunately, they are not, because, they hide behind the powerful gun lobbyists, the National Rifle Association, and, these GOP Republican politicians that keep getting a machocho, they keep getting backhanded money, and to stand up for their agendas. You can't buy an alcoholic drink in Texas at the age of 18, or you have to be 21, but you can go and buy a high-capacity assault rifle. The discussion needs to stop there. The people in the United States don't need high-capacity rifles. I've been around firearms and rifles in my security capacity throughout my life. As far as I'm concerned, only federal law enforcement or government law enforcement should have access to those powerful firearms. And that's the problem, and I hope, somebody does something about this, because this is appalling. Lives are getting lost. 214 massacres, and it's triggering, because I witnessed the Stratham Square massacre in 1988, and he was meticulous. I've studied this stuff now for 30 years. Stratham meticulously planned how he was going to murder all these black people on Stratham Square. The same thing, 10 days ago, they planned meticulously how they were going to go into this grocery store and target these black citizens. Same thing in this church. They all meticulously planned things. So, but the big fallout is the mental health, the PTSD, which I've had to suffer with for 30 years after watching Stratham murder all these people. These little lives, these other little 10-year-olds and 8-year-old children now have to live through this trauma. And that's not okay. We are so divided, and things are so tough as it is in our lives today with the fallout from COVID and our economies, etc., and lack of employment. You know, we really need to start keeping our politicians accountable. And that's what it boils down to. Enough's enough. Come on.
And
like my wife says, these GOP guys need to get their head out of where the sun doesn't shine.
yeah.
And she's an incredible teacher, and her heart's broken today. She doesn't know what's going to happen with the future of education in the United States. You know, we don't want to lock our children up behind doors. Come on.
Yeah. Bradley Steyn, and that's exactly the point here. It's about people's lives at the end of the day. Let's leave it there. A geopolitical security expert talking to us there about the gun situation in America. All right.